Beers with Bands podcast with your host, Michael Torres.
What do you think is the meaning of life?
The meaning of life. It's 42 and it'll always be 42.
The book, the space book. I remember reading this Wikipedia article.
All right, so what I'll do is I'll crack this beer and then kind of do a little intro and then bring you all in. So this is like the fourth video one that I've done, and I realized after editing the first three that my Zoom was not picking up the crack. So if you don't hear it, let me know and I'll crack another one to make sure it gets in there.
All right.
Wait, have you guys cracked your beers yet?
We can do another one.
Oh yeah, we have already, but we can.
If you want to partake.
Yes. So
Two
I
beers
also
is definitely a-okay.
I picked out beer for today.
Hey, bud.
Pretty psyched on the choices I made here. We're doing the football one.
Okay.
Woo! Go Birds! Go Birds!
This is a good one.
I will try this. So we picked out only Philly beers.
Okay, tight.
We tried to pick out ones that were as football themed as possible.
Okay.
So Sly Fox is
Blitz.
like the Yingling of Philadelphia.
Okay.
I don't know if that means anything to
Yingling's
most
not
people.
that far away from
I know.
Philadelphia to begin with.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean. You probably don't know what I mean, but someone will. Anyway.
All right, in 3, 2, 1. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Beers with Bands. This week, you know how I do. I keep talking to all these Philly bands because I guess Philly, they got something in the water. I don't know what it is, but maybe we'll find out on this episode. But tonight I'm sitting down with the new homies in Booze Radly. How y'all doing?
Pretty good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
And it's mostly lead in the water.
That's what it is. Okay. Steel Town makes sense. Rust Belt.
Microplastic.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, like I already mentioned, thank you all for reaching out to be on an episode. You guys are putting out some great stuff, and for people that aren't aware, Booze Radly, kind of like how you guys put it on your socials, is a bummer rock band. And on this new EP that we'll talk about here in a little bit, you're gonna find a little bit of everything, which is kind of cool. But before we get there, I feel like it's only fair, especially now, since I haven't really mentioned it on the previous 3 episodes. Obviously, this is a video version now. I'm still doing the audio ones, so now we can see all the lovely people that I'm sitting down with. If you want to start on either side and kind of go through and say who you are and what you do in Booze Radly.
I'm Alex Rescue, and I sing usually nice. Oh, the weed and the beer mix. Now we're gonna like Ninja Turtle weed.
It's just more to clean up.
I guess Dylan and I have been friends since like elementary school or so. And I don't think I knew then that we were going to work on music together, but we kind of all do the same stuff. So like I sing, Dylan sings, I play guitar, everyone else in the band plays guitar as well. But I get stuck with it when we play shows. So yeah, it's hard to play. I didn't
guitar and we sing.
I play guitar and I sing, and it's
yeah.
hard. And other people can do it better than me in the band. So.
Yeah. I'm Yusuf and I play bass and sing if there's a microphone available at the venue.
Okay.
It's an easier answer.
Yeah.
I was trying to cover for
I'm Dylan. I spill the beer and clean up in the background. In the band, I play keys and I sing. Every once in a while, I play guitar.
Okay.
You started as a bass player.
True. We did. I am the second bass player of Booze Radly.
We have a strict no one's allowed to quit the band rule, but
so at some point, do you think you'll just become like a crazy, like just all these like fill-in people? If no one's allowed to quit, you just keep bringing people in and just never let them leave?
I hope so.
Yeah. I could see I could see our EP just being us and then features of whoever we wrote music with.
Working
Yeah.
on Booze Radly Jonestown as we speak.
Well, I mean,
Will be sangria.
what you guys are putting out is super great, and obviously we're here to talk about what'll be, I think, your fourth or fifth EP. I think I saw you guys obviously started in 2013. You guys, I think I saw like 12 releases so far, 4 EPs, and this one's 4 or 5. Did I miscount?
This will be 6.
What?
6. Okay.
Yeah.
What counts an EP?
Well, this will be 6 tracks.
Oh.
We have an EP. That was our first release, Whitechapel Nights. Then we did a split with Luke McGowan. That was like an acoustic.
2 splits, 2 EPs, some singles, and
the album. Yeah.
the album.
So yeah,
the way that Bandcamp categorizes it is a little different than like what's up on other streaming services.
Yeah.
So, but like our main releases are our first EP, our album, and other than that, we just have like some one-off kind of releases that we did mostly on like Bandcamp and comps and stuff. So this will really be like our second actual EP.
Okay. And for people that aren't aware, it is called, I really love this name, Booze Radly. You know.
It happens soon enough.
But it's a nice little 6-song EP, you know, and I kind of like how, I think I saw it on your Instagram, you guys put a little description kind of as to what this EP is going to be about, and it's, you know, like basically like a compilation of sounds that you guys have done over like the last 9 years of doing Booze Radly, and you can definitely see it. I mean, there's, like I was kind of mentioning at the beginning, like there's some emo, there's some pop punk, there's some punk. I feel like a little vibes from like 90s hardcore. There's some grunginess in there, kind of spread throughout the EP. And I think overall, like it came out very well. And I'm stoked for, you know, obviously I've listened to it, but the episode isn't out yet. But I'm stoked for everyone else to finally hear it when it's fully released.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Yeah, we've been just kind of getting together and demoing like a bunch for the past like, well, however long COVID's been. So what, over 2.5 years at this point. And so like we had, I don't know, geez, probably like at least 40 half songs in our Google Drive that's just shared between us of like guitar and bass, and sometimes there's keys, or like sometimes there's like electric drum set drums added to it. And so like this EP is really just like the first 6 songs that were actually finished from those sessions, and we were just like, well, it doesn't really need to be super coherent if it's just going to be an EP, so let's just like polish them up, like sequence it, and you know, clean them up as good as we can, and then this will buy us a little bit of time while we figure out making like a more coherent LP out of the rest of the tracks that we've recorded.
Okay. Yeah, because I saw that, like, obviously, I don't know which one of you I was DMing with, but we had talked, you know, a couple months ago, and it was like in different stages. And obviously, if people are like up to date on social media, like you'll see when you dropped like the first single, it said like coming August. So now it's like,
Yeah.
I know there's been a lot of things, you know, kind of going on. I think you broke your collarbone.
Oh, yeah.
So there was one thing going on, but
damn.
Yeah.
I forgot about that shit. I keep forgetting about that shit, honestly. Like, I was just thinking, like, geez, a couple months ago, I couldn't, like, wipe my ass. I couldn't jerk off. I couldn't go to the shower. I couldn't do anything. Like, my collarbone was fucked. Like, I broke it in 2 places. It was gnarly. And then I just went to physical therapy for, like, 3 months straight and didn't talk to anyone and went into, like, a very dark place. And then I was like, I think of the scene from The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing, where he's like, I'm all better. I want to come back inside now. Like, I was like, all right, well, my arm works again. And then we played 1 show, luckily, only with my collarbone destroyed. And I played Shaker, which was the most awkward thing I've ever had to do, I think, in the band. It had to be at least one, like, you know, one time to humiliate me in front of everybody. No, but also like on top of that, like there's such a pressure to like get everything out at the right schedule, quick enough, at the right time of year, at the right time of the week, at the right hour of the day. And like I was kind of fried on that mentality after like the past couple of years, especially because we worked so hard and compromised so much for our album to hit those points. And like it was kind of there was some like reward to doing that, but like after COVID and like that throttling any chance we had to promote the album, I was like, well, you know what? Society pushed us into this model, so I'm taking it. Like, we're gonna take our fucking time. Like, it'll be out when it's out. We're not gonna compromise at all. We're just gonna work on it. I don't care if an EP takes a year or 6 months or whatever. I want it to sound like how it should sound when it's out. So
Yeah, you want to set goals to have it done so you can get it done, but then you also want to put the best thing out.
Yeah.
So you don't want to, okay, it's August, but it's half done and doesn't sound so
gotta
good.
come
It's
out
worth
now,
pushing it and people being like, oh, we've been waiting at least to put something out that
and
we
like
think sounds
truth
good.
be told, like we just got the tracks off for getting like dubbed, and we our guitarist he's like a pretty good mixer and master person, like career wise as well. That's what they do. And their monitors blew up, like the capacitors in their monitors exploded, and they fixed it by hand by buying new capacitors and soldering it and shit.
Yeah, it's all, everything is done in-house too,
Yeah.
so it makes it a lot harder to finish on time.
Right.
But,
All the recording, except for the drums, I think.
yeah,
all
we
the
go to a
recording
place
we
for
did,
the drums, but
all the, yeah.
But so Vince mixed and mastered it, and then like a week ago, Vince was like, "Oh, I just got my in warranty like replacement monitors back, like separate of the ones that they fixed on their own. Like, I'm gonna mix it again and master it again." So we just got 2 more final mixes and masters last, and they do sound better. I was bitching and moaning about like the compression being like a little too flimsy and weak sounding, and then Monday morning this week, I throw my earbuds in, like cheap little ones from Rite Aid. And I'm like, it feels like the kick drum's kicking me in the eardrum. Like, I was like, fuck, like a little less. But so we're definitely going to have a slight difference probably on what goes to tape versus what goes out digitally. But I think we were joking like, fuck, that accident might work well because the compression that we did originally might work better for tape. So it's a happy accident, I guess.
All works out in the end.
Yeah. But so everything's falling together at the time that it needed to,
Yeah.
I guess, is my point.
Well, I mean, like you said, you know, you want to put out something that you're fully content with, and it sounds how you guys want it to sound. So, I mean, society really did kind of screw everyone over with this new, you know, the model to release schedule. Like I have buddies that, you know, they're putting out singles like every couple months to lead up to, actually they keep putting them out, but they haven't led up to anything. They're just like, we have to be producing content and content and content and content. It's like, me being like an old school listener, I'd rather have like maybe 1 to 2 singles and then just drop like the EP or the record when it's ready, because I like to listen to something like cohesively, like all in like one sitting, rather than like, oh yeah, you guys put out something like 3 months ago, but this is completely different now.
Yeah.
Like I forget about everything else. So, you know, no harm, no foul to like taking the time to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, with the original, like when we dropped the singles, we were definitely planning for like an August release. But we hadn't even like
We pushed to fall by then. I think.
we hadn't like contemplated like really like, oh yeah, we still have to send it to like press outlets and to like labels, and like what is their timetable going to be with like a physical release of like getting tapes dubbed. So
Well, it takes a week, right?
well, I mean
I'm joking.
but so like we definitely had everything tracked by August, but like the mixes weren't up to our standards, and we didn't have like the opportunity to send it out to places until everybody signed off on the mixes. So like, you know, just making sure everybody's on the same page of like, actually, yeah, I'm happy with how the drums sound and how it's balanced.
I couldn't play shows to promote it, that's for sure. And,
Yeah, so
yeah.
just a mix of
A
life
bunch of things.
and attention to detail. March seems to be like a good time for us, and it worked out because it's gonna come out on tape and digital at the same time rather than having like some kind of bifurcated release.
I was
So-
actually just thinking about that earlier. I was like, yeah, what if we like put it out on tape? You can cut this if this is a stupid part, but I was saying, what if we put it out on tape for like a month before putting it digital? That'd be pretty funny.
Ooh, we're that hip. We're that cool.
You know, like nobody can listen.
2010 all over.
Nobody can listen to it unless you buy it.
Yeah.
And,
What you do is you take money out, you put money in the stock prices of cassette players before that to fully capitalize.
it went
for
up
release on tape.
0.045 cents.
You're thinking right, man.
No, I mean it would be cool. Like you know what would really like humor me is like seeing a tape rip of the.
That would be funny.
I would just rip it myself for my own thing and be like, where'd this come from? No, who knows? But it's coming, and you know we're excited because I was like, I'm gonna feel a little shitty still, and like I want to go back to promoting the stuff that we release and playing it well and practicing like weekly, bi-weekly, whatever, like we normally do. But I was like cold, bones hurt still. It was really a shame because like Dylan and I were going to the gym like every week, maybe twice a week sometimes, before I broke my collarbone, and I was like Rocky fighting, ready to like do this. But then yeah, just bad luck. So.
With these tapes, are you guys gonna do like any cool like color waves for them, or just like classic clear black?
We definitely are, but I don't really want to say what it is yet. So
That's totally fine.
We have two different
yeah, there's two different ones.
two different colors, and it's gonna be like a run of 50, and it's gonna kind of follow the theme of the album art that Alex's sister did like
Oh,
some
yeah.
graphic design for, and it was like definitely inspired by like old school like 3D glasses kind of color
Movies and
schemes.
stuff like that.
So just having like the double overlaid like red and blue version of the image. So that's kind of what influenced the colors that'll be out on tape in a couple months.
Well, since
Sweet.
Dylan basically described it exactly, it's gonna be
That's still it.
it's gonna be a red and blue tape.
Well,
Okay, I won't go any further than
it's
that.
not really red and blue.
Yeah, that's
It's
fair.
an illusion tape.
They're interesting. They're cool looking, and the label was like, "Is it like, do you need to do two of them?" And I was like, yeah. Like, well, do you need us to like buy the tapes even? Like, I don't know. I don't care. Like, we'll just do it. Like, but no, they were like, all right, if you insist. I think, you know, we've sold other tapes for our album that like sold pretty like okay. We got rid of them is the point, you know, like.
That's
So
the goal.
I wasn't nervous about getting rid of them, but like I can totally understand because like when we were in like high school, we would make CDs and shit, and like you put your own money into that, and then you're stuck with this crap that you can't get rid of, even though you're proud of it, and you're carrying it around in your backpack trying to convince people to buy it from you, and it's like, you know, I remember what was it, like the HP laser engraving thing for discs, we did
Yeah.
album like that way and stuff. But so it's just a huge.
I was looking up prices for those recently. I was just like, we could totally just
Go
make.
back to this.
I could get an external USB disk drive,
Right.
50 copies, get some dual slim cases.
You can borrow my external disk drive that I
All
got
right.
for the Dreamcast.
That'll cut costs down even more.
So
But
you
no.
might get CDs too with the tapes and
The
digital.
CDs.
We'll see.
So that we have more than like the free stickers that Alex prints out at his job to give out at shows.
I've also seen bands do like their own like hand splatter tapes and stuff, and like
Oh yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Mhm.
I'm too lazy to do that, but it's still like. I mean, yeah, it's a tough one, but yeah, no, we're excited about that, and I think probably that'll be coming up in like I assume March, but we'll probably be able to announce it next month, I think.
Yeah.
But
Well, so this episode, I do have it planned to come out the 17th of February.
That sounds.
Yeah, that should be
perfect,
good
yeah.
because we're planning on a March 10th release, so that'd be good.
Well, in
like
that
about
case,
3 weeks.
yeah, so Lonely Ghost Records is gonna put it out, and we're putting it out on clear pink and clear cyan. So
Oh yeah.
5 each for the first one will be pretty fun. And if we can fit some extra goofiness on the secret tail end of the tape, we might. So.
Well, I'm stoked for that. Shout out to Lonely Ghost because had Sewer Destroyer on the podcast and great dude doing amazing things, and I'm stoked that you guys are partnering up for that.
Yeah, it's so fun. And I just DM'd them on the SEPTA bus home from work. I was like, anything I should like say? Like, I don't know, anything you want me to say or anything you should say or whatever. And they're just like, hey, I love you. New release is good. New Hodera release is good. Personally, I can't stop fucking with the last year's Cheem album.
Yeah, I also really like the New Use EP that they
I
put
haven't
out.
had a chance to listen to that one yet myself.
It's like very like 90s, like
It's all
pop rock
stuff that like
inspired.
it's all stuff that I would have like 100% downloaded on LimeWire. Like, so like that's why I'm like psyched. I'm like, yes, this is like the music that was too good for us to be involved in when we were pirating it on LimeWire.
Right.
Frostbite, the real ones.
Well, to kind of hop back into this EP, like I mentioned at the beginning, it's 6 songs. Like I said, there's a range of like sounds on this, and for me it was kind of hard to like pick of like a top song for me, just because there's all those different ranges where I'm like, I mean, you start off with hold on, I have the tracks up on my other screen so I don't like butcher any names, but you start out with like White Guy Emo, which as someone that listens to like 90% of like emo in my daily like life and just like gets sad all the time, and then that came on, I was like, well fuck, like you guys are coming in strong with this, like what am I gonna do here? And then like you get to Crash and Burn, and like it just like that one gets sad, and then you have like, I made a point in my notes, like the sound clip in Crash and Burn tied in with that song is probably my favorite combination of sound clips that you guys use on this EP.
Yeah.
But then like you kind of get to like the later half of the EP, and you get to like Nothing to Lose, which obviously is already out for some people to listen to, but like it kind of has that like heavierness to it, and it's like fuck, like this is the also stuff that I'm like super into, so it's so hard to like pick the right lane just because there's so many good bangers on this is basically what I'm saying. Like 10 out of 10.
Thank you so much. Yeah, like you said, when we started doing this was during COVID, and then we were doing it the best that we could with the way that everything was shut down and travel wise. But we kind of just did it on a whim. We just went in, like we just came up with different parts that we really liked, and a lot of it came out organically. And we grew up listening to a lot of the '90s hardcore and punk, and White Guy Emo is kind of like a joke at ourselves as a band too, because we're also those emo kids too, so it's kind of like self-reflective. But we just came out with it, and we're like, these are the songs we like, put it together as organically as possible. It usually tends to be the best way. Thank you so much for what you said. But yeah, I think it just came out like our sound of everything that we grew up liking and listening to.
I was jokingly saying to my coworker the other day, I was like, it's kind of like if we covered Warped Tour 2012 compilation just as ourselves, like one band.
Yeah.
They were trying to hit all the things that we like in one place, but it was there were, it's tricky because like our first EP was meant to be like a mission statement for the album, kinda like, like we have this idea of a sound, the thing we want to go for, and I think we did okay with that, and like I think we did okay with this, but I look at it as like a bunch of, it's like a sampler or something, like I almost feel like a teaser, and I'm like, to me, as a fan of my own band and my bandmates and I guess myself, which is not something I'm usually shy about, but it did kind of unfortunately leave me wanting more of it. I was like, shit, like now I gotta finish this album now. Damn it. Like, gonna take forever. So, I don't know. But yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
We got a 17-minute teaser for an album that
It'll take 10
may
years to get out.
eventually come out.
Like the last 5 years. Yeah.
We'll put other stuff out in the meantime, I'm sure.
Yeah, we got a
Little shit going on.
like a collection of covers that will be coming out as well.
Birds.
There'll be like 6 or 7 covers that we're gonna put out on streaming. So that's just basically like every like one-off that we've done for a compilation that was like covering another band. We're just gonna put it all out under one release, remastered. So that's something that our other guitarist has been working on with his
There's a couple of unique tracks on it.
new monitors.
Yeah, one of you sent me 2 of the tracks today, which I don't want to give anything away. Spoilers for anyone that's out there that might not have heard some of those, but one is up on Bandcamp for sure, and it was Yoke by Basement, which Basement is like one of my favorite bands, and you guys took it in such a unique way and kind of made it your own, because for a lot of people that are listening and are familiar with that song, it's kind of a little bit faster paced. I think it's only like a 2.5 minute song or something like that, and you guys take it, kind of just bring it down slow and just make it your own in that unique way. And like, it took me a second at first. I was like, why does this sound so familiar? But I was so used to just like the fast pace, just going right for it. So it took me a second, but and then the other track that got sent over, I also, it's a classic track, and you guys did it well as well.
Yeah, there was like a New Year's where our friends just wouldn't stop doing the whoa whoa whoas from that Jimmy Eat World track. So like then we were just like, yeah, like we'll do a cover song for this comp. That was actually how we met Lonely Ghost. They were like putting out tweets saying like, hey, who wants to be on this 90s cover comp? And well, like technically Sweetness came out in 2001, but it was supposed to be on their 1999 album, and so they were playing it live in the 90s technically. So I was just like, well, actually it's a so all of our friends just kept doing the whoa
We recorded a lot of them,
on a New Year's. So we were like, hey, you know that song that you won't stop fucking singing? Like, come track gang vocals for the chorus, because we're covering it. And so they all came and did it. And then we got like 9 of our friends on a song. Yeah. So that was a lot of fun. And that was like kind of how we were networking during the pandemic. It was just like, oh, this like online tape label is like putting together a comp. Let's do it. And then they have a group chat, and you see the other bands that are doing it. And then you all hear like the not quite finished versions of the tracks, and you like give each other notes, and then you're checking out like all the other bands' releases and chatting them in private DMs, and like that was just kind of how you had to network for lockdown. And it was like, okay, well, we weren't as active in our local scene before COVID shut down, and now that we don't have one, we really need to like do what we can and seek out and see like who even is in the game these days.
Right.
And it was great. Like I've met a lot of new friends that way, that now that we're all ignoring COVID, I've met them in real life and gone to concerts and stuff. So
I have to clear one thing up though, which is just that the slowed down acoustic version of Yoke, I heard myself from Basement at the at the TLA.
Okay.
They did like an encore where they came out with acoustic guitars and played it. And I was like,
yeah,
rules. And I was like, I want to learn how to play it that way. And then I did. And then I recorded it, and I didn't even think any more about it. And then I don't remember exactly why, but we were dicking around about something or other. And we're like, Run for Cover Records rules. And then
no, there was another comp that we wanted to be on, and so me and our guitarist Vince, we really like Captain We're Sinking, and so we covered Lake by Captain We're Sinking, and I was like, Basement and Captain We're Sinking are both Run for Cover bands, so we'll just put these out on our Bandcamp. 2 songs, Run for Covers, and that was that. So
Yeah.
we're remastering both of them and gonna put this on like an EP of
Does
all the
sound
covers
better
we've done.
now than it did. I recorded it really hot on my computer. I'm not good with Pro Tools, so like I'm getting there, but not. Yeah, it's too late to continue to get there. I'm over. We're getting it.
Yeah.
Now, side question.
And then it's like, make it sound acceptable, please.
Right. Now, let's say for that 90s comp, that if Lonely Ghost would have put their foot down and was like, no, it did not actually come out in the 90s.
Well, then
What
we would
would
have entry for the 2000s cover comp that they put out like a year later.
Okay.
On that one.
I was gonna ask, like, what would have been the backup song for that 90s comp for you?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know.
We did do that What's My Age Again cover.
That was, isn't that a 90s song?
That is
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, so
mean,
we
I-
couldn't have done the 2000s.
No, but that would have been the backup.
What other
Nah, I think
90s songs did we have?
for me, it
Oh, I
would've-
see.
We didn't do Jimmy Eat
Yeah.
Burnout would be my guess by Green Day.
That would be a good one.
That would be a sick song.
Probably something like that. Probably some easy pick that you're like, oh, we grew up listening to this and everyone
Or like
knows
we,
it.
Right.
Bad
covered-
Religion.
we've covered by the Descendants.
Oh,
so
yeah,
maybe that
that's
would have
true.
been it.
Yeah,
Well,
that
they're
would
in
be
cell
one.
for now. So
But is that 80s?
yeah,
That's
I can't
80s.
cover that. That's true too.
That's 80s.
Oh yeah.
But they're also in cell for now.
Stewart in the Avenue, maybe.
Yeah.
Another
Yeah.
cover we've done live.
I mean, there was a certain point where like there's always like two theories of covers, right? Like the obscure deep cut cover or the cover of like a well-known song that you do well or put a spin on.
That's true.
And like there was a moment as a band where I was like, oh, we can just we have like the equipment, the ability, the mixing and mastering talent on hand. We can just cover a good song, like a hard, like just cover like a cheesy radio song if we wanted to, and like make it sound interesting at least, you know. And like, so I felt pretty good about doing Jimmy Eat World and Blink-182 as cover choices when we had those chances. And like, I would never be like, oh, let's try to make something more unique or more interesting than their version of it, because they're already pretty basic songs. So like,
I mean, but the Blink-182 one we did,
It's a
we
little
like
different.
layered a bunch of riffs that
yeah,
are
we
not
can't
in the
not do
song.
the stupid shit that we do anyway.
To the point you're making, I probably would choose to do just for my own like hit ego. Like,
Yeah.
oh, let's do a like really obscure song from Cheshire Cat.
We did a deep cut Death Cab cover for a B-side for the album
Mhm.
when we did 2 singles for the album, and like nobody listened to that shit. So
Yeah, that's usually like the least amount of plays out of.
I
any
got
of our
one person's
tracks
like,
on
"This is
Spotify.
so cool that you did this." I was like, "Oh yeah, we did that." Like I forgot. Nobody likes that. Woo. But that'll be on the cover comp too, so we'll know nobody listens to.
Sweet. Do you have any ideas as to like when the cover comp's gonna come out? Just sometime later in 2023.
Yeah, we were gonna try to
No
get it
pressure.
before the EP, but now I think that the EP is very like
It's
barely
it's so
down the
close
line.
that it's like, yeah, we might just be like, hey, the EP we've been working on for 2 years is done, and have it just be the cover EP and never release this.
That was
EP.
what we were gonna do. I don't know if
Put
it
them
was
both
supposed
out
to.
on the same week. And it's an actual LP.
I don't want to cut away from getting people to buy the tape.
Yeah,
And a
no.
T-shirt that just says "buy the tape."
Please.
No, I mean, but we've always been really against like trying to like game the system or like market ourselves in a way that's like smart. So who knows? Like maybe we'll find a stupid way to release it. Like release it in like if you beat me at Fortnite, then you can have it or something.
Yeah.
Something, we'll figure something out.
Okay.
Not yet.
I'm not good at Fortnite either, so it'd be fun.
I mean, I'll get the DistroKid login and then I'll just put it out myself in like June, probably.
It's happened before.
One last thing that I for sure wanted to bring up for this EP is obviously there's some good sound clips in there that do really well. But on White Guy Emo, you actually have a feature by Gabby, and I'm gonna probably butcher the last name, so I'm not even gonna try and say the last name just to be. But Gabby from Afloat.
Yeah. And Tether.
And sorry, what?
That's her other band, Tether.
Tether. Okay. And you know, thought it was a great choice to put it in there. Like it having like those backing vocals to kind of play off of each other, I thought worked really well. And plus, like, it's a it's a good old wholehearted song making fun of, as you guys said yourselves, with being emo guys. And what more would you want in a song talking about your ex than just those gang vocals with a female voice to
Yeah.
kind of just solidify it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we never really know what the fuck we're gonna do when we start doing it. Like, there's like maybe, I would say it's at least in the minority of times that we do it where we're like, this is the map for the song, and we just gotta follow through the map. Like, most of the time it's like, I got this riff, you got this chord progression, that kind of thing. We change keys to make a match or whatever. But that song felt like it was a little like we wrote that song originally titled Fast Song Rouch because we were too fucked up and we titled it wrong. It was supposed to be rough. So it was like really in the dirt and we like picked it up and we're like, hey, this is a good chord progression. Like, so we worked on it and then yeah, I just had like this like sensation about like feeling like a Groundhog's Day with the emo scene. Like we've been playing music locally at least for a long time and like with bands before this and stuff. And it does feel like there are these like motions you go through where like everyone does the same performative shit all the time and whatever. And like I felt like in the middle of that song I wrote the like what I considered to be like the hook. And I was like, who are the coolest musicians we played with during the process of working on this? And we played a show with a float at the Pharmacy in Philly, which is like a small coffee shop venue, but they have like a cool ass stage as well in South Philly. And like I had a good time at that show. It was a fun show, great bands. And like, I don't know, we just kind of became friends with a float and Kathy and them. We like, what other shows did we play with them? We played at least one more, I think. I forget, but
Well,
we played at her venue.
their new guitarist is also in Driving Under
Oh, yeah,
Water,
that's
who we
true.
played with. So Gabby was at one of our shows that we played with Driving Underwater. That was at like an outdoor skate park. So I just found myself after like we played with the float and saw them like come to one of our shows that they didn't play. I was like checking out like all their releases on Spotify, and I just kept listening to their single "Fake Nice." I know our guitarist Vince really likes that song too, and I was just like, we should just ask her if she wants to do like a feature. And it was like, well, like Guy Emo, it's like Vince and I thought like this song is a little on the nose lyrically. Like I was like, maybe it'd be good to like have somebody come on and like lend us a little credibility so that it's not just like too on the nose.
And my take on it was also just that like we're Allentown kids in Philadelphia first and foremost, like, and like these are some Jersey punks and like their scene is sick and like I love seeing that shit bleed into Philadelphia, and I wouldn't want like to just feature someone without being like, this person is a hard motherfucker. Like, honestly, I was like, damn, Gabby is like running that shit, and it's so sick. And the thing that cracked me up is like someone reviewed that song and they're like with Minescu on the high vocals, and I was like, what the fuck?
That's funny.
I've been a bass.
No, yeah, that's pretty funny
my whole
because
goddamn life.
like I'm screaming above you and Gabby is also singing in a higher register than you on it. So
Yeah, I still basically a bitch. But
yeah, go for it.
there you go.
No, yeah,
We had her on the song.
We originally had a
Might be one of
plan
the-
to have another feature on it, but it just never ended
Did
up
it?
panning out. Yeah.
I don't remember.
And so it's like I guess that'll be the only feature that's actually on the
Yeah.
EP.
Oh yeah,
We just put a bunch of samples over it that in like places where it's like maybe this would have been a feature earlier, but now we're just gonna patch in a sample.
So Gabby runs a venue in what is it, Merchantville, New Jersey, right?
Yeah,
Called Old
Old
Post.
Post 22.
And we played there.
We
and-
played the first show there.
Yep, and I was talking to Gabby about the release structure and how it was going and whatever. And I was like, I would have loved to have you in the music video when we did the music video for White Guy Emo. And she was like, why didn't you? And I was like, I thought it'd be annoying to like get over there last second while we were all like trying to chase down our own bandmates and being sweaty in those goddamn bunny suits and whatever.
Right.
And I didn't even think about it. I was like, fuck, I'm an idiot. I didn't even text her or whatever. But yeah, nah.
No, but yeah,
She skates, and it would have been funny to see her whoop Yusuf's ass and skate. So.
Probably.
yeah, she's
Dylan
doing great
Vincent
work.
only
She
certified
started
skates.
a collective that like does booking in South Jersey called Head Above Water Collective. So go check them out.
Sure.
She books at 2 different venues. Gideon's Basement. Gideon is the name of the dog that lives at that house. And also Old Post 22.
When you're there, go to the Philly Diner.
The Filey Diner. Phily. No,
Lie.
no,
Oh, really? It's
No,
just
yeah.
one Y?
Yeah.
Okay. Or one L rather?
one L and yeah.
Wow, yeah. No, we love New Jersey. It's funny as hell. It's like bizarre of Philadelphia.
Yeah, like the Philly to New Jersey, like there's that like, you know, if I'm looking at a map, there's like a giant circle around all of that, and there's so many great bands like we talked about earlier, like Philly bands are killing it, but there's also so many great bands from New Jersey, like we're talking about like Afloat, Driving Underwater, you know, Wave Break, Ditz, I think it's from New Jersey. There's like so many great musicians and bands in that whole area that like I don't know what the fuck's going on, and I think I should just really turn this podcast into just like a Philly, New Jersey podcast. 'Cause I feel like I've had like
podcast.
I feel like 80% of my episodes are all just that region, and
Yeah, we go.
to be honest, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, no, I'm really happy. We're really lucky to be around a lot of really good bands and good musicians.
Keeps
and
me
good
from moving
people.
away, man. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, keeps me paying that toll to get out of New Jersey, going and seeing the show.
Yeah.
I don't even complain about the soda tax no more.
Got the like on the 27th, I'm heading to Jersey to see Silitus, Massanera, and Trustfall are all playing together in Glassboro, so that'll be a good show.
Last Jaw, New Jersey. So Dylan actually used to live in Pittsburgh also.
It's true, yeah. So
And
like back
came
when
to band practice.
our album was being worked on, I would like drive from Pittsburgh to Philly for like shows or like recording stuff. So glad to live in the city now and not have to do that.
So, besides the commute, which city is the better city, Philly or Pittsburgh?
Oh,
Philly's
shit.
better, but Sheets is better than Wawa. So.
Ooh, yeah, okay,
Sorry about
argue that. That's
Yeah,
true.
no, I actually kind of agree.
yeah.
What's the boom boom sauce? That shit.
It depends on the time. Hey,
Yeah, I mean, it does. It
later
here
the
at
night,
Sheetz.
the more sheets.
I don't know if I don't know. Wow. What a monumental
I'm
question.
getting coffee and a bagel. We're going to Wawa. If I'm getting drunk cheeseburgers, I'm going to Sheetz.
Yeah, if you're getting anything that's fried, you want to go to
Drunk
Sheetz.
cheeseburgers with a side of Reese's.
It's not. Oh, come on. Depending on how far the
It
sticks you
depends.
go.
Yeah, it depends how far outside of Pittsburgh.
I've been
you are.
pitching this asinine idea lately that did seem to pick up a little bit of steam as a joke, which is the Pennsylvania tour. Try to hit like do a circle around Pennsylvania and then come back.
Yeah, I just hit up like the one band that I knew that lives in Scranton.
I saw that and I have someone I want to hit up too. So,
Okay.
yeah. But yeah, we'll see. PA tour, Booze Radly.
Yeah,
You'll never see us again, I promise.
the
One time in
Scranton
town only.
State College, Lancaster, Philly,
Erie,
Yeah,
God,
Pittsburgh,
You
Erie,
can give love to Erie.
Westchester.
Wilkes-Barre? That wasn't on the
I
map.
mean, Scranton's basically
All right.
Wilkes-Barre.
Close.
It's
I
like,
mean, that just
oh, we're
reminds me
playing
of
at Fort Worth. No, you're playing in Dallas. Same shit.
yeah, that just reminds me of like when people post like, oh, we're going on tour, but it's just like 2 of the states are in like their same county basically, and like the other one's just like the next town over.
All right, but
Yeah,
what about this?
I did that on the other side of the country.
That's
I did a 10-day
flew there
tour.
and did like.
Yeah, I was like, it was every show was within like 3 or 4 hours, but it was on the other side of the country, so it's a tour.
Yeah, but
I flew there.
a 20-day tour, but only in your own state.
That's kind of cool though, because if you really do, if you do like 20 and 30 days, and you try to
30 days?
yeah, well,
I don't like spending
That
30
sounds
days
like a
in the
campaign
state normally.
strategy.
I
We're,
would. I
we're
would
gonna
give up
tour
my life for this.
67 days,
In
67
every county,
counties.
yeah. Yeah,
Please
we're
give us your
running
donations.
Booze Radly for governor of Pennsylvania.
Dude, though, but if you do a tour like just within a small area, you could kind of hit up
I say
all the
like
really cool
5 to
venues,
7 days.
all the
is
cool
all.
like small DIY spots in a spot that you.
There's
know
never been a
people-
place I've been in PA where I haven't been able to find at least one cool person. And that's all it takes for me to have fun. So.
I mean, that's the number of people that come to all of our shows.
We're
Yeah.
using a computer from like 1999, so it's a little rickety.
Yes,
But
our
Okay.
computers like
All
our-
good. The sound is back and better now, so
Yeah.
I can turn it down on my end. I don't know what's going on.
we have a restaurant in Philly that's only got like 4 branches, but it's called Hip City Veg, which is the most obnoxious fucking thing I've ever seen. But they do have the best fake vegetarian Big Mac that I've ever had. So it's like kind of gross how good it tastes. You're like, oh, no, I got out of this for a reason. And
Since we got on this conversation of food, obviously y'all are in Philly.
oh,
Philly cheesesteak, as everyone knows, is a staple of Philly. How do you guys feel about it? Do you think it's? Obviously it depends on where you go.
I mean,
Yeah.
Alex and I are both vegetarians, so we're probably not the people to ask on the matter. If you want a vegan cheesesteak, check out Tattooed Moms. Pretty good.
I've lived here so long that I used to not be a vegetarian. So I'm a Geno's guy first.
Oh, did you know that?
I'm
Yeah.
a Geno's guy over Pat's for sure. I think the racism is very like provincial, It makes it feel like you're in a small town when you're getting your cheesesteak, and the meat's bigger chunks or whatever. But no, I mean Delisandro's and Chubby's is the more interesting beef between cheesesteak places across the street from each other. I recently, maybe a year or so ago, this is a long cheesesteak answer, by the way, but I found out like a year or so ago that what I like as a cheesesteak is known as a pizza steak in Philadelphia because I come from Allentown, and
Yeah.
Allentown apparently has its own regional cheesesteak. Go figure. Which is, in my opinion, just Philadelphians being the same old pieces of shit that they always are. Which is like, oh, you can't be part of our cheesesteak because you're from Allentown, Pongool, like
A
you're like.
whole hour away.
But so it's marinara sauce, provolone, fine chipped beef, pickles. That's the Allentown cheesesteak, I suppose. But like that's atrocious here in Philadelphia. So. And I only found one place that served that here in Philly, and it shut down. So it was near a skate park, though.
Never stood a chance.
Like
Nah.
the best.
But yeah, I mean, Jim's is fine.
They're all good. The best cheesesteak is the
No,
one you
they're
can
not
get
all
within 90%, I'd say. Most of the ones I've had have been
They're
pretty
all
good.
good if
So
you're
the best
blackout
cheesesteak,
drunk. Yeah.
yeah, the best cheesesteak is whichever one you can find within 5-10 minute walk of where you are. That's
And also probably like from what I've learned from a few different spots that like I've gone to eat, don't go to the places that have signs up that say like best cheesesteak in town because those ones are usually like really shitty anyways. Go to the ones that don't have any signs advertised. You got to try and find that door and you aren't even sure if you're supposed to fucking be in that spot, and then that's probably where you're going to find the best one.
The
That
worst,
is- that
I
is
can tell you the
100%
worst
true.
cheesesteak I ever had, which was from like a poppy store off Temple's campus like 10 years ago. I'm with our other bandmate Vince, and he's like, let's just go get breakfast or lunch or whatever. I'm like, all right, sure. And we go and we get into this place, and they're like, salt, pepper, ketchup. And I'm like, what? Those are my condiment choices? Bad meat, salt, pepper, and ketchup. I was like, onions and peppers. They're like, you want onions, peppers, pop? I'm like, anything. really, besides ketchup on my cheesesteak. And then I come to find that the normal cheesesteak in Philadelphia is typically, if you put anything on it, it's usually a little bit of ketchup. And I was like, this city is backwards.
Right.
I'm close to this place, but damn, I will never catch up with it. That's for sure. So marinara, whiz, provolone, don't care. Marinara, steak, and onions. Onions. It's nothing else. That's all I want, at least. I always recommend Delisandro's or Chubby's to people that are from out of town.
Tony Luke's.
Tony Luke's is funnier now that they broke up and
Yeah, what is it? Luke's, is it
there's Tony's and Luke's now.
Yeah.
So we're getting in on the the meme cheesesteak fight thing going
There's
on.
a spot
Right.
on John's. Oh god, I can't remember.
The Home
That has a
Depot
really good spot.
sausage place though, I hear is fire in Philly.
Yeah.
There's a sausage place at the Home Depot in South Philly on Columbus.
That's the one I'm talking about.
That
Wait,
place
no,
is
John's.
fire.
John's.
Yeah.
That has probably one of the best sandwiches I've ever had in the city.
Yeah.
And there's a Tony Luke's.
There's an
About a half
IKEA
a
right
mile
there.
from there.
There's an IKEA right there. They serve the Swedish bean balls instead of meatballs if you want them to.
Okay.
You cover your bases. Yeah, we're a foodie band, so what are you gonna do?
I mean, I love it. Like that was that's like one of the best things about being on tour. Aside from like being out on the road with your friends, is just like trying food from like places that you're never even gonna probably get back to at some point. Like I've talked about it on many episodes. I'm very much miss Sheets and cookouts and just like a lot of the good spots in the South from that time.
Yeah. That's probably the best spots, best parts.
That is true. It's just, I would be lying if I said like I did a semester abroad or whatever, and like halfway through I was like, I miss real bagels with cream cheese. Like fuck, like, but you find other things that you fall in love that kind of fill the gap,
Right.
What would you like?
You're in England. How's the food there?
Bit terrible.
Have you ever flown across the pond or outside of the country?
I've gone to Central America a few times. My dad's from there, but I've never gone like to like Europe or anything like that.
I don't think now is the time to go. There's a war there, I
So you
hear.
went to a place where the
Some
food
shit
was
out
good,
there.
and you went to a place where the food was eh.
Yeah, I mean,
It's lucky.
my
Like,
favorite.
I used to go to Syria a bunch. My family's from there too, and I feel the same way. I've been to Europe a couple times, and like there's spots where the food's good, there's spots where the food's good.
The best food
once.
in London was Indian food for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
100%.
They come from here. We have such a melting pot of good food, especially if you're in a city. It's like music and food. Good music, good food, good people.
I like some European music. It's pretty good.
Oh yeah.
French screamo. For some reason, that language really buckles.
Dude, Russian. You wanna
Russian hip hop.
run?
That
some shit.
phrase makes me dizzy. Russian.
Yeah. And Russian like death metal or heavy metal. Those are some of the gnarliest breakdowns I ever heard.
I believe it.
I mean, their emo is better because they just know depression
They
on
know.
like a more
That's
like
fair.
Yeah.
a more visceral level.
Yeah. It's not a white guy, it's like
Yeah, right. No,
It's albino.
it's emo.
Siberian. No, that was really cool that you liked the EP though. Like, I've been pretty like self-conscious about it because we've had some luxury with like the quality of our recordings just from like happenstance and like, this is something that irks me in a weird personal way, but as kids, Vince and I grew up like hardcore on welfare with single moms and shit. And like we're learning guitar on like guitars with like 5 out of 6 strings and shit. Like that's how it goes, like white trash bullshit. So then we finally get to go to college and like that's a privilege in its own, but we get to go to community college and learn to record music and shit. And then like our friends back home, some of them I remember when we did our EP, they're like, this is like the best quality recording any of our friends' bands has ever done. And I was like, yeah, now if only the music sounded good. Like it'd be set. Like, so we did a great job, I think, in some ways recording the album, but we didn't know everything you're supposed to do ahead of time when it comes to like doubling vocals, tracking drums correctly, all that stuff. we didn't use a click for any of the drum tracks on the album. So that was a mistake. Like, there's a lot of things we learned through the process. So this is the first time we've recorded something with like a lot of the lessons we learned from fucking other shit up. So, and then like now we get to do it again, but harder, I guess. That's the idea. So it meant a lot that you're like, this sounds pretty sick. I was like, yeah, finally, I agree. It took this long. It took almost 10 years to figure out how to record music without anyone telling you.
Yeah, we have done pretty much all of our releases, with the exception, I think, of drums for the album and the EP. Everything we've recorded and done and mixed, mostly mixed ourselves.
I mean,
Except
I'm
for
not against
the
using a studio. We had our own studio for a little while, and then, but our friend in Bethlehem, Shards Recording, they're based in Bethlehem, PA. They just have a very unique space. It's like a big mechanics garage with like a pointed roof. Like they've gone through so much trouble to like sound treat it, and it just sounds awesome when we record there. But like we only go there just to, we're like, give us all the drum tracks, we'll come back to reamp if we need to. And they're like, we know what we're dealing with and stuff.
Right.
You go see family and whatever. Last time we were there, there was a fucking blizzard. It was long.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. What was it? Not a blizzard. What is it called when it hits?
So a squall.
Squall.
Oh yeah, I think I saw the video. It's like squall. I can't remember what tag you put on it, but you use squall as like in place of like all.
Yeah, it is work.
Yeah, that's what it was.
We went to get coffee, a little break, and then like literally paid for coffee, turned around to leave, and it was just going crazy outside. So,
but no, they do awesome work up there, and they've also been like getting involved with the Bethlehem Public Library and like expanding like the whole community's access to the ability to record music and shit. Like that's more than anything, I think that's what we're mostly about, is like making sure that anyone who wants to do this kind of stuff should be able to try, you know? Yeah. It shouldn't be kept out. I'm not a big gatekeeping person myself. I don't fuck with gatekeepers, that's for sure.
Well, as we kind of transition to the later half of this episode, obviously we we're finishing up talking about the EP, Booze Radly. It's such a great name for an EP. But like we've kind of mentioned, it's kind of like a little. I feel like Dylan, you might have put it best. Like I can't remember the exact wording, but it was like a mixtape or like a soundtrack as to what Booze Radly was and is coming up to be. So definitely everyone be sure to check it out. Is there anything that I might not have brought up or you guys want the people to know about with this EP or Booze Radly in general?
You kind of nailed it, honestly.
Yeah, no, we got the EP coming out in March, the cover EP coming out TBD, the LP2 coming out probably 2024, and we'll have a bunch of shows lined up in interspersed throughout all of them. So just keep your eyes peeled, keep your ears open, and click our fucking links in our.
My roommate Tom Lynch used to say, what was it? Keep your mind open and your mouth shut.
There you go.
Check out your local scenes and work with each other and do cool shit too.
You know, I was
like remember, I think when I think about this EP, one of the things is like this band itself too is kind of like it's a band that we play, but it's also like a passion project where we're doing everything we can ourselves.
It's easier for us than some people even because we're doing it because it's like how we hang out.
Yeah, this is like like
it's how we be friends.
Like playing, we like music and we like going to shows and hanging out with people and
I'm
do
not
that.
picking
Like
up first
play your bands and have fun, but also support your local scene and go support your friends and hang out and bring each other up. Work with your local friends and musicians. And have fun.
Make friends.
Make friends and have fun.
I was listening to something about this and then I saw the stats and it was like there's like a 30% decrease in amount of time that people spend with their friends since like 2010. And I was just like, yo, like that's a stat for sure. It's a stat. It doesn't mean anything as a stat, but like, I was like, what's the reality of that? outcome where you're like more isolated than ever, more like sort of siloed into online communication and interaction and shit. Like, I don't know, it doesn't. I was talking to someone about this like months ago, and like in our small town of like Allentown, Bethlehem, Easton, whatever, we had like moments where shit would go down in a scene that was not good. Like someone would be an asshole, get drunk and fucking key someone's car. There'd be fucking fights. There'd be serious things like sexual assault, misconduct, stuff like that. That like a 16-year-old in your area doesn't understand at all the implications of what you're talking about. And like, luckily for us, the adults, the 18-year-olds and up in our area would like have like conversations with crowds that came to shows. They would like host like workshops to talk to people. They would do all that kind of stuff just to like actually actualize all this shit that's horrible. That's always happened.
Educate and take care of the local scene and your friends.
And like we're so fucking lucky that we came out of that scene. I'm starting to realize I used to think that every scene was like that. And then I've slowly grown to realize that it's not the case. You know?
Oh yeah. To have grown up in the Lehigh Valley when like Slingshot Dakota was still local and like snowing was blowing up, and to like be able to like while in high school just go to like a Friday show and like see Sprainerd for $5. It was just like insane how well curated our local scene was, with like Square of Opposition Records putting out
the people that were doing the hard work,
fourth wave classic albums, and like educating the younger teenagers on like what you need to do to like not just be a good person, but to also be like somebody who's conscious of like what propagates a healthy scene and like how to keep it going.
Be a good influence.
Yeah, was just like super influential, and like we can only hope that that you know we don't add anything negative to a scene, and can like you know lend a hand to anybody younger than us that's like trying to get involved in it and you know is excited to participate, and that nobody gets shut out. So you know, check our stuff out, but also just like check stuff out that your friends are doing, and like just go out and support it. That's what it's all about, because like really we're just here to have a good time with our friends and make some new ones along the way. So thank you so much for having us on, and we're Booze Radly.
Well, we're not done yet. We're almost there.
Anyway, what's the last segment?
No, wait, what's the fan stuff? We got a little off track.
Yeah, so the last segment here on this episode, obviously, is just the fun segment. This is where we kind of just tell, we kind of shifted from these little heart-to-hearts that we're having to some fun stories from you guys' time of music, whether it's shows, tours, time recording. Think about it like the stories that you always reminisce about with your friends. And as I normally say, they could be anything horrendous to tremendous or any adjective in between.
There's a lot of censorship on this one.
So,
Okay.
All right. So
Yeah, so
my
like,
story is from when we were first tracking the demos for the EP. It was
Which
like
EP, this one?
it was like the
Oh,
heat of
no,
lockdown, and like Alex had just come up with the idea for one of the songs on the EP, Crash and Burn, and we just had like he had like the verse and the chorus part written, so he tracked it, and then like during these sessions, it was just like every weekend we'd get together and we were kind of like each other's pod. So like we were the only people that we were seeing outside of like our bedrooms during like the height of COVID. And
You don't have a virtual Tinder date at that point?
we would come down and like he tracked the song, but we would just like, you know, go puff like a bunch of alcohol and like smoke a bunch of weed, do some Adderall to stay awake and like be able to still track to it click. And
One time we
the
did
next
LSD,
morning, the
right?
next morning, Alex wakes up and he's like, "What did you guys do to my song? Like, you added like 3 different outros to it, and none of them sound anything like the actual song. And I was like, Alex, you wrote all of those parts. Like, we put you in the recording chair when you were blackout drunk, and you just sat there for like 4 hours tracking all of these parts. And he was just like, I don't remember any of that. Sounds kind of cool, I guess.
So if you like our
So,
album, then this is amazing.
that's the reason that Crash and Burn has 3 different outros.
I honestly really did believe that y'all were like jokingly, nicely, in a nice way, gaslighting me to like mess with me.
No,
Like I was like, oh yeah, I wrote all of them. Of course I did. Ha ha ha. And they're like, no, you wrote. I'm like, okay guys, this is getting kind of boring. Like I get it. I didn't write it. You guys went with the song in a different direction, whatever. Like, no, you wrote all that. And I was like, I don't remember any of that. I don't know. How do I play it? That was the next question, honestly, was how do I play it?
well then I
And
figured
Bill
out.
had to figure out how to
I
I had to
figured out-
figure out.
I figured out how to play the bass to it in unison with your guitar part. I was like, well, I learned it at like 6 a.m, so here's how you play it.
I learned that one guitar riff at practice when we were playing.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
You
the
taught
thing.
it to me, and then still had to learn it at the. So a lot of this stuff is when we were pretty drunk. That's probably why it
It's been written
sounds
a
so
couple
good.
times.
But then we also have to like actually learn it to play.
Yeah, that was another thing with the EP where it's just like you listen to a song and it's like, oh, we were on this substance when we wrote this one. It's like, and this one when we wrote this
I can
one.
relate.
This one's a little bit spacey. This one's a little bit fast.
For the
This
album,
one
I was
never
like,
got to the point.
the album, I was like basically sober when I wrote like skeletons of most of those songs. And like, I don't know, they're not as fun. So, you know, fuck that shit. I did write a lot of it, like our first EP and stuff. I wrote a bunch of it when I was like fucking having a panic attack, living in a different country, just riding a double-decker bus around England with. I made the really smart choice as a person who's never aspiring to be a pro skateboarder to bring a skateboard, not my guitar. I picked one. I literally held them both in my hands. It was like skateboard, guitar, skateboard, guitar, and I picked skateboard and I brought that to England and I was like, it rains 24 hours a day. What? There you go. He's a loud dog in general.
He was
Another-
licking my feet.
Another fun one was we were in Pittsburgh and we got an Airbnb as a group, as a band,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a pretty creepy Airbnb. You remember that place?
Isn't that creepy?
It had that like unobservable basement.
There was that basement, yeah. Oh, I left. That was in the winter in
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, and I had left my the sunroof open in the car in the SUV I was driving to take all the band stuff, and I totally forgot about it. And it was morning, and I was like, oh, it's fine. We'll get up slowly. We had like a long night, and we'll get in the car. It'll be fine. And I get in there, and the car is like 22 degrees. This is the dumbest move I ever did.
For those who ask, I would say that because Dylan drove from Pittsburgh to Philadelphia for band practice close to weekly or bi-weekly,
Yeah.
I think that means it counts as a local show, in my opinion. I would say so.
At least 20% local. Yeah.
I'd say like 40%.
But yeah, no, that night it was
Oh yeah, everything was
dur-
cool until it
it was
wasn't.
during the
Yeah.
primaries of 2020, and like Bernie had just won like Nevada.
Yeah, it was
And,
California.
it was like in between Nevada and South Carolina, and I was just like,
This might happen.
yeah, all of us were just like really hopeful, feeling real good.
No COVID, no anti-communism. And then all of a sudden, reality came back to
Yeah.
bite us. But you know what? We bite back, so it'll be fun.
You know the Sriracha House show?
Oh, yeah. Oh, geez.
We
Oh,
had,
geez.
we
We
had
were at the
so-
show where we played in Connecticut, and our guitarist slept through the show.
our guitarist couldn't make it, and we had to drive up to Connecticut. So
This is what I mean about not being allowed to kick out any members. Is that like everybody makes mistakes.
we've been a band, at least the 5 of us have been in this since 29 years. 2014, I joined. So like, in those 9 years, you have 9 years of life and decisions and mistakes.
Before I was
Enough
in,
mistakes get kicked out of a band, but then we're just like, no, you just
A
now you
weaker-
have to make it to the
a
next
weaker
show.
band would have died
Yeah,
sooner. But before we were in a band, I
Or a
actually
smarter band would have
yeah,
died.
that's
Smarter
true.
than,
Too.
yeah. But that's the fun of it. That's
Yeah, I
the
can't really
passion
argue with
project
that
of it.
one. Like, I don't. Being smart means you have to be aware of the problems of the world, even if you choose to ignore
With the
them.
Sriracha House show though.
I don't remember what was interesting about that one.
I joined the band in.
Oh, is this your first show at the?
No,
at
this
Oh.
was we played. This was like near the end of summer of 2014, which was around the year I joined the beginning of that, and they had an album out. Dylan played bass, but Dylan was living in Pittsburgh, so I jumped in on bass, and there was a bunch of songs from the EP, and we're writing an album, but there was like a 5-song set that we played. And we played this 5-song set over and over and over and over again. And it was the tightest set that we had. And it was the most amazing thing. We would get up there, it was like a 25 to 30-minute power set. And we killed it every night. And then we got really cocky. And we get to this house show. It's one of our friends' birthday party at the Sriracha House of Gerard.
Maybe I blocked this out of my memory.
Yeah, it's a good reason to. Because because it was friend's birthday, so it wasn't just like a show. So we got kind of fucked up. And then after kind of fucked up, we got really fucked up. And it was, so we go downstairs, like we start playing, but not everybody had tuners for the guitars, like pedal tuners. So some of us tuned, one person tuned to because we're beyond drum. Our one guitar, Vince tuned to his own guitar off of like the 5th fret. And then you tuned to Vince's guitar, and I tuned to Dylan's keys, which is actually in key. But we never tuned with each other. So we played this set where like the music itself was tight, but you look at people's faces like, and they're like, this sounds weird. And they started like slowly walking up.
And that's how we invented half in tune music.
The girl I was dating at the time would just like would look at each person walking by and look at me like, I'm like, I can't believe this, but we're already halfway through, so let's just fucking finish it. That was a disaster. Because that was after a string of like some of the best shows we ever did.
I didn't even realize that, but that rules, and I think we should do that again at least once.
Yeah.
Tune half guitars to one tuning, half.
We did it. Wait, we did it once again. No, we didn't. We weren't out of tune. You just practiced the song a half step down, and then didn't turn around to the band to say that we were playing a half step down. So we all played a half step up from
So here's at the end of the day, I love my friends, and I hate anyone that likes our music. Because if they like our music,
And at the end of the day, I hate my friends and I love anyone that likes our music.
I think it's probably actually going to sound good.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What would you say is the most influential show that you've ever been to? That you've like
Oh, now we're
not
interviewing the interview.
no, not even performed that, but like that you've seen. You guys too. Answer. I'll answer. What's like not most influential, but maybe memorable, like a show that sticks out in your mind that you've been to?
One of my most memorable shows. So Such Gold is like one of my favorite bands, and it was the first time seeing them. It was the Story So Far and Stick to Your Guns co-headline tour of like 2013, 2014.
Yeah, it's a sick lineup at a sick time. Holy shit.
So it was those two. Rotting Out was on it. Such Gold. There was one other band I can't remember, and then I think Souvenirs opened the show for our date, and I mean first time experiencing Rotting Out, and I was already up front, so like that was intense. But like I always think about that show because my favorite venue back home is like maybe like probably like a 500 cap room, and like it was ass packed. Like they have like string lights on the ceiling, and all of those were like half hanging down by the end of the show. People were hanging from the rafters. It was fucking phenomenal.
No one sure. That's the thing is like even we've done a couple shows where we like packed capacity, and I was like, this is the best day of my life. No day from here on out will ever be better. And then we played shows where it's been like negative capacity, like somehow, like the bartender leaves halfway through the show or something. But like, it feels really good to see that shit. But when a show's really good, the audience feels good about being there. They're like, I'm in a place and a time. I'm seeing something, and like I have never performed at that level, and I would like to someday if I'm capable. I don't know, but that shit is sick. Like when you know you're like, I'm at a historic show right now. And like for that example, I would say
Yeah, what's yours?
the Queers and Bomb the Music Industry
Oh.
in Wilkes-Barre, PA. That shit was insane. Like
That's amazing. Takes you back to high
absolutely
school.
insane.
That's awesome.
that show was absolutely. I've seen some like I've seen shows that other people would die to see, but that was like the craziest show I've ever seen in my life. It was just so like, it was like, what if the 80s punk rock never died?
Mm.
I was like, fuck, we have a large mantle to carry, but we're not doing a good job with it. So,
Oh, shut up.
no, we
What about
do
you?
what we can.
What's the show you went to?
Getting to see a warehouse show where my friend played with Kimya Dawson and Paul Baraboo was
That's
pretty
sick.
cool.
And see your friends on a big stage. It's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
Me and
So,
Paul
yeah.
Baraboo are
I
friends
just
on
wanna see Jesus
Instagram,
Beats promotions.
and we won't
When I see
respond
Jesus
to
Beats
your
promotions.
question.
Did you see Jesus Beats when they played around here before? They do. Like, so he brought up, like,
Semi-canceled band, dude. Like,
well, yeah, but when he brought up like his friends band opening, I just think of like there's this geeky part. There's a part of me that's like, oh, you guys think you were there in the beginning, you just think you're so cool. But then there's a deeper part of me that's like, I saw this band like when they did their EP release and they're small. So there's sometimes when I see Jesus Piece, I'm just like, I saw you. Anyway,
I've seen a bunch of bands that like
yeah, when you see people that you like played with or seen growing up blow up, it's kind of
I
like,
rode the bus in London with Basement,
hmm,
and they were riding.
that's cool.
They were riding the bus with us because we were with some cute American girls that were well aged. You
It
know, like
works.
we were in college, so we were like trying to play with these girls. These girls were interested because the band was a good band and they were attractive young men. So, and they're like coming to the bus, and I remember turning to one of the members of Basement, being like, "Yo, your set was fucking sick." And he's like, "Yeah. All right, mate." And he turns around, and he's like, "Oh, I see."
Yeah, but for real,
Yeah.
if you were in that position, would you do the same thing?
I hope not. but
I say
who
that
knows?
too. I say like, oh, I'm gonna be like really chill. But if I was in a position where I just played a killer show and I'm single and I'm out there and there's a girl that's like, hey, I'll be like, hey, thanks for the compliment. Anyway, so you
Yeah, I
wouldn't
mean,
do that?
You're not gonna turn
I would
around and
also
talk
hope
to
I
me
would.
about my weird, perverse fascination with your artwork.
No, I probably would give it a little bit of time to be honest, but I would also turn my attention.
No, I mean it is what it is, but that was a cool time, and like I've seen other cool bands and stuff. Like one of my favorite things, something that's super important to me, is that my godfather, who is the person that introduced me to a skateboard for the first time, is Square of Opposition's first release, which is fun. So
cool.
unfortunately, he passed away from like a leg embolism a couple of years ago, and like that sucked. But you know, if my mom had died first, he would have been my dad, basically. Is how that goes. You know, the Godfather shit. But when I was like 4, they took me to a show at a local venue in our hometown called the Fun House, which is like a dump, absolute punk rock dump.
It's also my favorite place to go play and see music.
Yusuf still lives in
ever.
Bethlehem, so
Yeah.
it's fun. It's like his.
I moved back to Bethlehem. Absolutely, yeah.
For Philly people, it's his L bar, you know.
It's my L bar.
But
But see, when I was in Philly, L bar was my L bar, and then I went back to Bethlehem.
Yeah. But
Dive bar.
my
The
first
dive
show,
bar with all the cool bands that play.
my
That's
first,
where you go meet all the local, like, you just hang out with other musicians and just
No, I've even
show up on a Thursday night after work and just see 3 other people from different bands walking. Hey, how are you?
maybe the highest
That's
show,
the worst place to be.
paying show we ever played was there. Probably.
Yeah, they have a
You know,
good spot. They have a good. They
It's a
have
good
a good
location,
setup.
and but
They're
that was where I
rolling.
went to my
Farmhouse?
first punk
It's a
rock
band.
show, like at like 8 years old, and I was just like, this. I don't think I was like 8 years old. Like I'm gonna use this one day. I think I was like 9, and I was like, well, I can't imagine not doing something like this. You know, that's basically it.
I have to give them this.
What was
Can
it?
I say mine?
Yeah.
I think it was my first show ever was
It's
in
terrible.
Philly at the TLA. It was plus 44.
Mhm.
And the match is opening. And I was a
The match is
Blink 182 was my favorite band. It was like every month, like most people my age. It was my favorite band. It got me into it. And it was plus 44's tour. And it was just this moment. It was the first time I'd ever actually been to like a concert or show like that. And it was cool and weird, and you got out like on South Street. You don't know what's
His
going
family's
on.
Syrian Mormon.
Yeah, I grew up Mormon. I grew up with a Syrian kind of Christian
yeah.
conservative family, so it was like I'm 14 years old in the city. It's a punk rock show. You're on South Street. It's kind of a big eye-opening
You
thing.
can say no, Dad. Like,
yeah. But there was that. But it was, I don't know. It was just kind of cool. That was cool. But I have a second question. What's the coolest show you've ever played?
there you go.
That's my.
Dylan and I don't think this counts because we played terribly, but for me, one of the most interesting ones was Dylan and I played a show with our previous band that was like hosted by a local high school's homecoming. So like they have where we grew up, you have a big bonfire, right? You know, you stack all these pallets of wood on top of each other and you light them on fire. And like that's how you celebrate the fact that you're going to kick the other team's ass.
Yeah.
So we got invited to a school that we don't go to's bonfire to play on a trailer with a generator for the whole time.
You played on
The whole set. Yeah.
That's punk as fuck.
No, it wasn't even a rival school to us. It was just a totally different part of the area. And like we went like, 25 minutes across our county to go play at this bonfire. And we did terribly because it was so cold that I could barely play guitar. And then someone was like, I'm a marching line drummer, and kept trying to jump up with their marching line drum. And at one point I was like, go ahead. And everyone in the band looked at me like, what are you doing? I was like, this is as good as anything else we're doing at this point. And like, there's some funny pictures for it, but that was one of the most like surreal. Because we were playing to like 600 people. Like, because it's just a huge fucking bonfire. Like, these people are subjected to this, but.
Daddy Longlegs?
No, this is whatever our other one was called.
Oh wait, no, no, not Anti.
Project, yeah. It was funny. It was a funny time. Other than that, like the coolest actual show that we've played, I'd say we've had some really cool shows at Country Necktie. Jeez.
You don't have like, there's not a show that sticks out to you, or two shows actually.
There's a couple.
Right,
We probably have the same one actually. Like we played my friend's going away party in his apartment. That was.
Is that the one across from Skate John?
Yeah.
Holy shit, that's a story. Yeah, that's a story. We played at this so was it the Silk Factory or the? So
no,
it was no, Silk was on Second Street. It was one of the factories that it turned into these beautiful loft apartments, and we played a show. They had the band set up in the corner, and the way that this apartment specifically was, you walked in, and there's like this huge living room, kitchen's right here, huge living room area, some like rooms on the side that with some walls built, and then there's like this corner, and it's like there's an open corner with windows. So all the bands were setting up in the corner, and we started playing this show, and it's a loft apartment, so it feels like a venue. It feels like a house show, like it's a huge open spot.
Yeah, kind of.
And we're playing this show, and it's kind of cool. All the bands equipment's cool, and we're right in front of the corner, right by the windows. And in between one of the songs, I turn around and talk to them. And right behind us, if you see through the windows, is the skyline of the city. Just perfectly, because there's no other, it's that building and there's Skate John and no other building around it.
I also graduated college like that day, so I had a bottle of champagne.
He showed up with a dope ass bottle of champagne that his aunt and uncle bought him, something nice. And they brought it for you, and you literally opened it, and it was like, everybody drink the champagne before COVID. Everybody drink the champagne. You can do fun shit like that. Everyone drink it, and it's a nice ass bottle. So we pass it around to the crowd, but you would turn around in the middle of the set or while you're playing and just see the skyline. And all the photos were cool because you could see it back there. But that was just like, no matter all of the shows that I played, I think of all the shows, no matter how big they got, that was one that like hits from home because you're like a little nobody band and all the people there are like your friends and everyone having a good time. But it's this really, really cool, fun setup. And
bring what you can to
even,
the
like,
table at the end of the day, right? Like that's what I like about music. It's not like fighting each other for like attention or money or whatever. Like I understand why you do that because like the bandwidth is so limited for musicians to gain money from what they do. But what I like about it is being like, oh, you're good at this. I can offer you this. This is what I'm able to do. Like, what can we share in like a fun time to hang out together? Can we have a party where you are like a good cook and I play music, or I'm a good cook and you play music, or whatever it is, you know? That shit's cool to me. It's like that's part of the like advanced beyond this hellish economy that we live in society. But
And one
that-
end you're doing it to make money, on the other end you're doing it to be around people.
we
who love
never
it.
have been able to do it to make money, so I've never really sweat it. But the other thing is like all those basement shows, like the good ones, the bad ones, the ugly ones, the cool ones, the trendy ones, whatever they are. They're all so sick because someone's like, yo, I'm gonna risk getting like a huge fine by being
Yeah.
loud as fuck in my house. And I'm like, if you'll do that, I'm not gonna run out the back gate when the police show up.
Did
You
you
know, I'll be here. If you're gonna put on the show, I'll stick around without running. You know, like
one of the
that's
coolest shows?
Philadelphia, baby. Like
One of the coolest shows.
the cops have basically given up on that kind of shit at this point. Now
They
they're
just
like,
let you go home. Yeah.
they're like, oh well, we don't even really want to deal with the violent offenders either because they're scary. Like,
2014, is it either 2013 or 2014 when I moved to the city? And this is when I first was like getting into like a music scene outside of Lehigh Valley. And there was so I moved around Temple. There was a house on Temple, it's like off campus right next to it on 1525 Fontaine called the Red House. And Oceano played. And like on like a Thursday or a Tuesday or something. And they got through everybody who was in it was like, everybody who was playing that show was hyped because Oceano was there, so it was a stuffed house. So everybody came and everyone showed up, everyone's in there, all the bands play, everyone's hyped. They get through 2 songs. After the second song, one of the guys who owned the house, name came down and was like, yo, the cops are here, they're just kicking us out. But it was this gnarly, like, I remember for me, like Oceano, even in high school, because this was like 3 years out of high school for me, even back then was like this band that was on a label and they have songs out and they're playing in the basement of this house that I used to go to all
I
the
played a
time.
bunch of shows with bands that went on to be like cool ass bands.
That's true.
And like that shit would happen like once every 4 or 5 times. The cops would show up and break up the show.
Yeah.
And I
Wait,
like that doesn't
hold on.
happen
2
as
years
much.
ago or 3 years ago, snowing in Bethlehem.
Yeah, well that's
But they didn't. The concert that was just a.
that's a whole other thing.
It's kind of awesome when a band does so well from it, and you throw this show. What is this 4 or 5 years?
They
after
were the
broke
first
up?
band I ever saw where they got their show shut down and they were upset about it.
It was
Like, I
a
get it,
safety. It was their show. They did so well. They threw a show.
They
at
didn't
so
want it
much.
to get shut down for clout. They were like, fuck, we feel bad because we promised the show that we can't deliver on.
Yeah, and
It's
it got
like,
so big.
legit.
Yeah, and you got too big for your own spots.
It's not like, yo, we're too big, we got
risk.
shut down. Like, they're like, fuck, we got shut
Yeah.
down. Like,
Right.
I get that,
But
but
even
like,
that
I had
shit's
friends on
kinda
both
cool.
sides of that whole thing, but no, I mean,
Well, that wasn't a noise violation. That
No,
was
that was
the
the
venue's
floor.
floor was
Yeah.
collapsing.
it was
Yeah.
no cap capacity. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
What about you? Which was if you played that or not?
Oh, yeah.
What kind of-
So I never played any instruments. I was always kind of just merching, and then I featured
what have you seen there?
to kind of tie it back into like seeing like your friends on like a big stage. My friends got to play with Silverstein right after like we did like a little run. We came home and we had like a week off, and then they played with Silverstein. So that was fucking sick. I bugged that merch guy that they have so much because I was like, you know, I'm just like a 20-something-year-old kid. I'm like, hey man, you're like on a full tour. Like, how do I get to be you? And then like we were just, I think I just annoyed him enough. And then towards the end of the night, I was like, oh yeah, I'll grab a hoodie. He's like, dude, just fucking take it. Just like, don't talk to me anymore. Like, just take this. It was like it was like 2 sizes too big, but now I've drank a lot and I got fatter, so it fits now. So that's a plus, you know. So as we wind down here, I want to first start off with giving a big thank you to you 3 for, you know, reaching out and having some beers with me. You know, it's always a fun time when bands are down to do that. You know, for everyone listening, definitely go check out Booze Radly because it's a great EP. It's a great window into what Booze Radly was, and is going to keep being or could be. And I hope, you know, everyone picks up all those tapes for those color variants. You know, by the time this episode comes out, we should be pretty close to possibly seeing some pictures of them. So definitely go peep them on Instagram. But speaking of Instagram and all the socials, if anyone's looking for merch, music, or just Booze Radly in general, I know there's the link tree, but like where can they find you guys at?
Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, those are the main three. We still have a Facebook, but who uses that anymore? Yeah. All the streaming services.
You can listen to us anywhere on streaming services. You can DM us on Twitter and we'll respond. The manager. You can message us on Facebook and we'll ignore it because I don't understand how to click the right buttons to see those messages.
Well, you heard it there, and depending on where you found this episode, whether it's the Facebooks, the Twitters, the Instagrams, or even now the YouTube, since I'm finally starting to push that because the first 3 episodes that I recorded, I always count as tests, and they've come out okay. So this is the first one that I'm officially saying, why haven't you checked out the YouTube to see all these lovely faces?
And let us try to fight the DCMA on it.
We'll talk. We'll see what happens. I want to give one quick shout out or 3 quick shout outs to Jordan Carr, Over the Weather, and Lost Leader. I used their koozies on this episode. If you saw the picture on the Twitter or the Instagram, but one last big thank you to Booze Radly for stopping by. As I normally say, if you or anyone you know should be on an episode of Beers with Bands, feel free to reach out. I have the email and all the socials, or you can DM me on any of the socials, like the great Booze Radly did as well. And we'll sit down, have some beers, talk some nonsense. But other than that, Booze Radly's killing it. Everyone go listen to Lose Badly, and I'll catch everyone on the next episode. See ya.
Thank you again.